All right. Well, good morning, everyone. For our purposes of the recording, today is Thursday, August 6th, 2020. And actually, I do want to share my screen. We are going to be talking today about lesson casting, which some people would call a lecture cast, but a lesson cast, I'll be kind of defining that. And this is going to be hopefully the least number of steps to be able to record something in your class and then share it with your students. And then we're also going to talk about teacher-created videos. And this entire session was really set up as question and answer, but I wanted to have a few slides and share a few things, and then we'll do question and answer. Our goal is to basically go to about 30 minutes, but if we want to go a little bit longer, we can. So I have put a link into your into our Hangout Meet to WooClap. And so I'm going to, if you'll click on that link, you should be able to now see a survey. Are you all able to see it where it says, how did you create student lesson videos?
I see. Wait, when I did click, they say we use cookies to ensure you get the best experience on WooClap.
Okay.
So got it?
Yep.
Okay. And now they say choose a method to log in.
Okay.
So with Google.
Okay. Huh, it's making you log in? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then okay, they say welcome to WooClap.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, we have a short video to start with.
Oh shoot. Well, we don't want that. Did you click on the link that is the wooclap.com and then it's /TAU? It has a couple letters. Let me put it into the chat again and see if you can.
Yes, the app WooClap.com events. Yeah. It's this one.
Okay.
But they say follow these 3 steps. So they say demo WooClap in 3 simple steps.
Well, yeah. What I want to do is actually have you in mind. Let me go back and make sure I got the link. Maybe I have the link wrong.
Okay.
Ms. Tosser, are you able to see it?
Yeah, there's I was able to get into WooClap.
And I think I did. Yeah, my mistake. I think I sent you my teacher link first. So,
okay.
See, this is why I'm practicing too, because this is very new for me.
Yeah.
And this is the second time that I've used that. Okay, so I needed to send you, if you go back to the Hangout Meet in the chat.
So we need to sign out?
No, you don't need to sign out. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, students shouldn't have to sign in. I'm sure other people will make this mistake too. I sent you the link that I have as a teacher, and WooClap has a link to send to the students. The link I put in started with app.wooclap. That was wrong. So it's that new link that I put into the chat, wooclap.com/ and then it just has the letters.
Okay.
All right. So see if you do that one. If you now see a question that asks about how did you create student lesson videos?
Let me check. A little slow, this one.
Okay.
They say yes, exactly. Yes. How do you do lesson videos?
Okay, great. And you can go ahead and click on. Should let you choose more than one. So if you used a smartphone camera, if you used an iPad, I think, yeah, you can choose any of those. I was thinking maybe it would let you also put in your own answers.
So which one do you think is the best?
Well, this is saying last spring when we had to do this emergency remote learning and we all went emergency. Did you create videos for students with any of these things? Either an iPad, or your phone, or Screencastify. If you didn't, then you don't need to click any of them. But if you did, you should be able to click on one of them, and then I think you click submit.
Okay. So I didn't, but I think maybe a smartphone is
yeah. Right? Sure. Okay. And then welcome John Jensen and Mr. Gorham. I've put a link here into our chat for our Google Hangout, which is to WooClap. And I'm just using this as an opportunity for me to learn a little bit too. This is an interactive tool. And so if you click that link is actually the best thing to watch right now during our presentation, because I have my slides in here as well as having some questions. So just for grins, so we just get a little feedback, go ahead and click on one of those answers.
And submit?
Yep, and then click submit. So if you use like an iPhone, a camera, there you go. So I can see that result and see that come in. And we have somebody said Screencastify. So today, what we're going to be talking about, and you should be able to stay on the WooClap link. I want to talk about some videos and tutorials that I've worked on and created this summer for you, and then also highlight some other choices, because one of the things that is probably on all of our minds is how are we going to, get some videos and content to our students, especially that are in flex as students come back face to face. So what you're hopefully looking at through that link I sent is a tool I taught about yesterday that's called WooClap. You've probably heard people talk about Nearpod and Pear Deck and these other ways that you can be interactive with students. And so this is one I learned about this summer that's free for K-12 students. And so I wanted to basically play with it. So you're being my guinea pig a little bit here, but I want to use it to see how it works. And I anticipate if and when we go remote using this with students, and then I probably will use it some with my students in class. So so what we're going to do is I'm going to share probably about 10 minutes of things with you, and then we'll do Q&A, because I've recorded videos teaching about how to make these things. And so today my goal is to really raise your awareness of, okay, that's possible. And that's where I can go to learn about that. And then I can ask, Wes and other people, some more questions to follow up. So this first slide, and is everybody able to see the slide that says limited time, more time?
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the things is that, like, when I'm in this Google Meet, I can't see you when I'm, looking at my slides. That's one of the things that we're going to need to, kind of work on a little bit. And it can be helpful to have another screen. So hopefully you're able to see this. So this question, this is what I would suggest you have in mind as you think about, what am I going to do? How am I'm teaching a lesson to my students, and you might have one student who's on flex learning. You could have more. And we know that there's going to be short-term flex learning students who have to quarantine for a couple weeks, and then they'll be back. And then we have some students who are opting to do flex learning for the entire trimester. I really think that considering time is a good option, because it can take a lot of time. And I think one thing we could all agree on is that this can be very complicated and very time consuming when we think about creating lessons for students who are not in class face to face, and we all have limited time. So what are we going to do? And so my suggestion to you is that if time is more limited, which it probably is going to be in a lot of cases, the first thing that I'm going to be talking about today, this lesson cast, is hopefully a way to just streamline the process to be as few clicks as possible, so that you can make a video of part of your lesson or all of it and send it out to students. The other choice, and this is where it's sort of a menu that branches, is that if you have a little more time, and this may be some things that you've created before, these could be things other people recorded as well, although we know from experience and some research that students really like to hear our voice and see us do it. They don't typically just want us to send them, a Khan Academy video or something, although those can be helpful. There's other ways that you can record and share video, like what I would call a no-edit video, or a screencast where you record your screen, or a slideshow that you narrate, or you can even edit a video. So I have a video really that does provide this overview. But just really quick, I want to share it here. This is not a live, what I'm talking about right now isn't a live video conference. We honestly don't know right now. Hopefully we'll have enough internet bandwidth that whoever needs to have a live video conference, we can just all do that on Wednesday or yesterday, right? We all were in the Zoom meeting for chapel and the start of the year. It seemed to go great. I mean, it did for me here in the middle division. But we are not telling our flex students and families to expect being live in class whenever we have class. And so this is what I'm talking about today isn't saying that, you know, we're going to be trying to do live teaching to remote students at home and kids here at the same time. What I'm also describing isn't necessarily a best practice, meaning that if students are at home, like the best thing for them is probably not to watch a 30-minute, a 60-minute recording of all of class. I mean, the best situation is they have a really shorter video or series of videos that, you know, give them what they need, and then they have their activities. It takes a lot of time. I mean, some college professors get to take like a whole year to get their class ready, and they have people that help them do this. It takes a lot of time. What this is trying to use what we have and identify some of the fastest ways that we can do it. So this is a way to record yourself when you're teaching students in class, and it is going to hopefully minimize the number of steps. But the idea is that you're going to share it later. So there are pros and there are cons to different things. And the main way I'm going to recommend that you think about a lecture cast is by using Google Meet like we are right now. You could do this with your laptop, as I'm doing today. You could also do it with an iPad. And if you use Google Meet to do this, then it is going to, let me make sure I've got this. I don't think I have all my, Google Meet is going to require a few steps. No, this is fine. If I'm looking down my first column. But it also requires more internet. That's why that says that under cons. So we don't know yet, you know, like I said, we have 170 part-time and full-time faculty, I think, and we wouldn't have that many, but, you know, we're not sure what the number is of simultaneous Google Meets that we can do from campus at the same time. But if we do this with Google Meet, as I'll describe, I think that can really, you know, it can take the least number of steps. You could also just use Google Drive, and you could use YouTube. I think YouTube is probably better when you're just recording yourself and a lesson. We always want to know, of course, if any students haven't signed a media release and a permission form. Generally, most of our students do. But if we're recording a class lesson, that is probably most safe to share in Google Drive. But like it says under the cons, that can take more steps. The files can be bigger, and that means it can take longer to upload. So I have created some tutorials for these things on our website. And actually, what I want to do now is I'm going to go back over to my WooClap, and I'm going to ask you another question, hopefully. This is interesting. So I had to do this yesterday as well, where I had to exit and start again. Okay, so do you all see a question now? It says, how comfortable do you feel today with these cameras? Yay. Okay, so this is really neat. This is the first time I've used this. So there's 8 little tools that I've listed here. If you feel very comfortable using that, like number 2 is Google Calendar. You'll make that a 5. You'll drag that slider all the way over to a 5. If you feel, you know, middle of the road, leave it at 3. If you don't feel comfortable at all with that, leave it as a 0. And so go ahead and rate those by dragging the slider. So the first one is recording in a Google Hangout Meet. And actually, I got to change my language there because Google is just calling it Google Meet now, or Google Meets. And I used to say Hangout because it was that in the past. So go ahead and say that. Google Calendar. Number 3 is this program on your computer called QuickTime Player, and you can use that to record. 4 is Screencastify. That's one of the tools that we have talked about for screencasting. And then the iPad camera. If you would like this year, The school will purchase an iPad for you, and Michelle Freeland is ordering some tripods and some mount that can go in your classroom. If you have recorded videos with your phone before, that's 6. Number 7 is when you share a video in Google Drive, and then the last 8 is YouTube. I'm not able to see your screen. Do you have to click submit then after you rate those, or what is it? What is your screen?
They
Carlos?
say you say you have given an average of 4, and yes, I'm done. So
Okay.
submit.
And then submit.
Okay. Oh, cannot validate. Okay, because I put 1. Okay.
Do you
Now,
have to do everything as a 1 maybe? Maybe you might. Okay, there you go. I'm starting to see
Yeah.
some results. So you have to make everything at least a 1?
yeah.
Okay, good to know. This is, again, my first time to use this. This is kind of cool. I have a couple different ways that I can see these results.
Mhm.
And I know Carlos is able to see this. If you all are, and everyone doesn't have to be necessarily submitting these, but one of the things that this WooClap lets us do is we can see the results here just as a scale, but then it also has this thing called a radar chart that kind of shows the distribution of how people have answered, with the comfort level, 5 being out. So recording and Hangout Meets, and we've got two responses so far, is our only 5 that we've had. Some of our lowest answers are, for YouTube and Screencastify and some other things. So again, I'm doing a couple things here. We're talking mainly about recording video, but I think that it's wise for us all to consider how we would be teaching students with remote learning. And when I was able to attend several conferences this summer, one was called the Mountain Moot, and it was by folks in Montana that have had this conference for about 8 years, and they're very experienced with distance learning. That's where I learned about this WooClap tool, and there are about 10 different kinds of questions that I can ask as we go through. And so anyway, it's a chance for me to play. Okay, my last question for you. You can have as many questions as you want, or as few questions as you want in the WooClap. This one is just an open-ended question, and it says, what is a burning question you have today about recording videos? Obviously, we don't have too many of us here in our video conference, and so it's going to be pretty easy to go around and have everyone share. But if I would have more students in here, then obviously it might be nice to be able to have a way like this for them to submit questions.
Hey, Wes?
Yes.
It says one person is confused on the screen. How does it know I'm confused? Is it reading my mind? What magic is this you're doing on me?
So you probably clicked up there, and I just learned that I saw this yesterday. When you have a question that you pose in WooClap, I think it's for your whole slideshow, you can enable that option for students to indicate they're confused. And so you did that unprompted, which was fine. But as the teacher, I can also just let my students know, hey, folks, as we're going through this, if if you're confused, if you need a little more explanation, just click that. And so I think that's a way, because sometimes it's almost impossible for students to interrupt, or it's just more awkward for them to interrupt. But that's a way that they can just click that button, and that can be when I'm showing a slide or whatever I'm on, and then I can look at that and go, oh, somebody said they're confused. And I think it records who it is, that I could look at that later. But yeah, that's a feature of WooClap that I thought was kind of neat. That anyway, was something. Okay, so our burning questions are how to start and tell me the best and easiest way. So these are great questions. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my slideshow here, and let me actually, I'm going to actually ask you. So because I want to show you some things live. I'm gonna show you where these resources are on our website, and I'm going to show you the document that has step-by-step instructions as well as videos.
Nice.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you to click back to our Hangout Meet. And I'm going to click stop presenting so we can see all of us here. And the link that I'm gonna walk us through is this one I'm putting into chat. It is actually pretty easy since it just puts the word support instead of www in front of our school website. All right, support.cassidy.org.
So click.
Click
there now.
Actually, what you might do is let's go ahead and watch me because I'm going to go ahead and give you a tour. But that's the link, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it. But I'm going to give you a little tour. Okay. So this is the website that we started last year. Well, I mean, it's been around, but we recreated it as a remote learning support site starting in March when we went into remote learning. And all of the resources that we had here before are present. So there's a lot of different modules that are there. But right here at the top of this page, I have a link to LessonCast and then to teacher-created videos. LessonCast is really one kind of teacher-created videos. So if you click on teacher-created videos, you're going to see actually the same graphics that I was showing you a minute ago. Do you have limited time? Do a LessonCast. Do you have more time? Do a no-edit video or a screencast. Each of those that take more time have their own link and their own page, as does LessonCast. So that's where I'm going to go right now, is to the LessonCast. And so this is where I have broken down this in several different videos. Now, at one of the conferences, I went to the MSON conference at the end of June this summer, and in their session, one of their sessions on screencasting, the teacher said, you'll hate me for this, but you should never make a video for students that's longer than 5 minutes. He said they don't like to watch them. You can make more than one video, but his recommendation was 3 to 5 minutes. That is the sweet spot, because students can see how long it is. And if you need to do more content, which of course we do, he said do more videos. I have violated that, and I'm sure we all have and we all will. But here at the top, I have a video that's an overview of the LessonCast, okay? And that one is just 4 minutes long. As you scroll down, this is where I have the different options. Are you using a laptop or are you using an iPad? So let me show you first what we have for the laptop. This video, which I'm not going to play for you, but it's a little over 12 minutes. And I go through the step-by-step of how to do this. But right underneath it, it says step-by-step instructions. And that's what I want to show you. You could print these if you want. This is a Google document, and it's called How to LessonCast with a Laptop and with Google Meet. And the good news is that, of the survey, when we did that survey question a minute ago, we were pretty high. We only had 2 answers. That's okay. But that was the highest rated thing, was how to record, because we learned a lot of things last spring when we were in remote learning, emergency remote learning. Here's what you need in order to do this. You need a laptop. Your Google account needs to be upgraded after September 30th. And the good news is it has. Lots of companies gave free things away when COVID hit and schools had to go remote. And Google did as well. They have something called an Essentials account, and that lets us record the Google Meet. Well, that was only free until September 30th. And one of the decisions that the school made this summer as we worked through this was, what are we going to do? I mean, we looked at Zoom. Zoom costs $90 per teacher per year to license. And that's Oak Ridge School. We just talked on Tuesday with the tech director and the instructional technology coordinator there. And that's what they did opt to do. And a number of schools have. But, and if you buy 150 licenses, I think it drops to $50. So, I mean, that is expensive. And I think there's probably going to continue to be conversations about it, because, I mean, I love Zoom. I use Zoom too. But they have made some updates to Hangout Meet. It is integrated so well into Google, and it's much more affordable as well. And so the school made the decision to go ahead and upgrade all faculty accounts. So everyone's account we'll continue to let you record. And so these are the steps that I recommend you do if you would like to lesson cast in this way. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, so be bigger on the screen. The first thing I recommend you do is make a change to your folder. So when you are recording a meet, a Google Meet like we are, and you have it on your calendar, well, actually, I guess this is true whenever you do. Whenever you record a meet, Google puts it in a folder called Meets Recordings. What I recommend you do is you go to that folder on Google Drive, and you either with your trackpad, 2-finger tap, or if you've got a mouse, right click, and you're going to choose to change that so that anyone can view it. And the reason for that is because when we share links to these in different places, you know, if you put it into Google Classroom, generally Google Classroom does all the magic to make sure students can see it. But sometimes people are putting links now onto their lesson guides that Sandy Nelson has talked about, and I think division directors are talking about. We're going to be keeping these lesson guides, not only for Flex students, but just to say this is what we did in class. Well, if you want to put a link there, I mean, a parent could click on it or a student. This doesn't mean anybody on the internet gets to see your videos. It means only the people who have the link. Mm-hmm. But when they get that link, it should mean they can view it. It's not going to say, hey, you've got to log in. The other thing is I've created this not just for upper division and lower division or middle division, but our lower and primary division teachers are wrestling with the same question. How am I going to get my videos? And so if you make this change, you just have to do it once. This will allow any of the, I don't know why I jumped over here to that website. This will allow the videos that Google puts in there for anyone to view them. Okay. YouTube, and I'm not advocating in this to use YouTube, but when you do, like, and I think YouTube is fantastic for videos we record for lessons. It has a setting called unlisted, and that's really what we're doing here with Google Drive. All right. So here are the steps. Step number 1, before class starts, I would recommend in your calendar that you create a new event. And the reason I recommend this is Google does a very nice job of, well, it makes it easier for us to find these things, because when you have a calendar event and underneath the date and the time, and I recommend you name it with the class name, the section, and the date. Why? Because there's a lot of stuff that we save in Google Drive, and it's important to name it at the beginning so that you can find it later. Remember, you're not the only one who'll be looking at that file name. Your students will too. It could even be a parent that's looking at it. So this is really a best practice to put those things, because then I clearly know, oh, that was my 5-1 computer section from August 14th. Got it. All right.
Wes, would it be okay if we put the topic also that we were talking about that day, or no?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, it is fine and good to put additional information. So but this is, at a minimum, I would do this. So you've got the class name, the section, and the date. But if you want to put some additional information, there is no limit, no length limit on the title, and realize that title is going to be visible to anyone you share that with. So if you want to say this is I don't know what your first unit is, but we're doing chemical reactions and whatever we're working with, you can go ahead and put the unit title or whatever that lesson name is.
Okay.
So Google, of course, they're always changing things and trying to make it better. And I think they did. They now have this big blue button that's on the calendar that says Add Google Meet Video Conferencing. And so when you click that and save, that event now has, just like we have right now for this workshop, it has a Google Meet connected to it. Here's the beautiful thing about this process. There's other ways you can make a Google Meet, but when you create it in the calendar, and then I'm going to scroll down here because this talks about when class starts. When you do this, not only does it get saved in that Meets recordings folder, it's in the calendar. And so that makes it easier for you and I to go back and find it. And as I'll talk about in a minute, it gives you a choice also of how you share it with your students, depending on how many kids you have. You may only have one student who's on flex learning, right? So it's just going to facilitate the process. So here's what you do when class starts. I would open up your slideshow. If you're not using a Google slideshow, and that's something else we can talk about, I definitely recommend it. It's a good way to organize your instruction, and you don't have to, but whatever you're going to be using for class, that's what I would open up first, okay? Then you go to your Google Calendar and you click on the class event that you created. And this is a little screenshot. It will show you a blue box that says join with Google Meet. And at this point, we've all done this before. You did it to join this. You're going to click join now. You're looking at your microphone and camera. You want to make sure neither of those are red, right? Because if they're red, they're off. And then you click join now. And then, as we've done a lot of, you have to click 3 dots and say record meeting. All right. That's basically it, other than remembering to wait till that red rectangle record goes on, and Google Meet will also have that ding at the beginning that says, ta-da, you're live, you're being recorded. Whenever I start a video, just like I did today, well, I don't know if I said my name. Usually I'll say my name, but I'll definitely say today's date and what we're doing. And that is for everyone. That's for me. I don't want to have to scrub through, 5 minutes of the video to figure out what was I doing here? What was this? So it's just like a topic sentence at the beginning of your paragraph. Or it's a title of an essay. I'm putting that at the very beginning of my recording, and you can, students can do that as well. Here's what we're doing. Here's today's date. And that way everyone knows they're on the right video or what video they're on. Okay. You will want to present your screen. And so the recommendation is, like today, I just chose to present my entire screen. Your computer will actually function and perform better when you just do a Chrome tab. And so if you're only going to stay in one, slideshow or one tab, then that's a good choice. I tend to jump around between things, and I knew I was today, so I said entire screen. You can do either one, but just remember, if you're only going to do a Chrome tab, that is it's not going to show other stuff. It's just going to show the tab that you've chosen to share, and you'd have to switch it if you wanted to do something else. Google does have a note below that it's best for video and animation. It's still not great to show a video live through your Google Meet. It's getting better. What I tend to do if I want to have students watch a video in class is I'll say, okay, folks, we're going to watch a 4-minute video. Here's the link. And I want you to, come back here in 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk about it. That way people are on their own trying to watch it. All right. And this is just showing that if you're going to do a tab, it's going to give you a list of all your tabs, and you have to choose the one that you want. When you are done with your lesson, you could choose to stop the recording, but you can also just hang up, because when you hang up your Google Meet, the conference not only ends, the recording ends, and Google will start to process the video and make it available. All right. So let's just review, and then I'll tell you the last steps. Before the class starts, you make a calendar event, and you say that it's going to have a Google Meet video conferencing. You give it a good title. If you want to include the lesson name and unit, that's great, but at least do the course, the date, and the section. Okay. When the lesson starts, you're opening up your slideshow or whatever it is you want to show. And then you're going to also go to the calendar to open up the meet, and you're going to record your meeting. All right. That takes us to the end of the class portion. Now, the last part, how are we going to get this to students? Okay. There is now going to be a link. This takes some time. If like we're recording, we've been going here for about 45 minutes. It's going to take, I don't know, at least 10 or 15 minutes. It takes, the longer we record, the longer Google takes to process the video. But within certainly an hour, maybe 30 minutes, I don't know what exactly, but within a reasonable amount of time, it's not like 24 hours, there's going to be a link that Google is going to make. And that link is a couple places. It's in the calendar event, but it's also in Meet recordings. And so what I have here as the steps, really this is best, I think, for middle and upper division. All of our 5th through 12th graders have Cassidy email, all right? If you want, you can open up the calendar event and you can simply put their name as a guest to that event. They will receive an email. They can click on that date when that happened, and they will see a little red icon, just like I have the screenshot. That's the video. If you have a lot of students, and by a lot I mean maybe more than 3 that are in flex learning, maybe you don't want to do that. But if you only have 1 or 2 kids, I think that's a very quick way to be able to get them the recording, and you've provided it just to those students. So that's option 1. Option number 2 is put it in your Google Classroom, or lower in primary can put it in Seesaw, or, you know, we could put it in My Cassidy. Stephanie Crosno, I think, just uses My Cassidy. So in order to do that, you're going to need to copy the link to that video. And so you can go to your calendar and click on the video there. You could go into the Meet recording folder, but either way, you're going to click on it so it opens up, and you're going to copy that address. And that's the address that you're going to paste in, okay? I'll show you an example of that real quick. The video that I've made, it's a 12-minute video, actually, you know, takes you step by step through this. And the good news is you can pause and replay and whatever those steps. Here's an example. I'm in Google Drive. Here's my folder called Meet Recordings, all right? Here's my recording from yesterday. I have a couple recordings. I guess I was doing some tests. And when I, you know, that's okay. Actually, let's make sure I don't do that one. The ones that have a blue icon are the documents. Does anybody know what that is? Because it's not the video. What else does Google save for us when we have a Meet trivia question? The chat. So this would be a copy of the chat that we had, and showing the links. In this case, we didn't have a whole lot. You're looking for, this is why you got to name it. See, I didn't give a couple of these a name, and so it has this cryptic KIP-HNCM- blah, blah, blah. Here's my good example. Spanish 5-1, August 3rd, 2020. All right. When I click on this video to see that I don't want to play it for you, that's the link that I will copy. Okay, and I can copy that and put that into my Google Classroom. In fact, I also did a, well, I mean, I can do that now. Let me show you on the calendar. I'll go back to my test that I did. Turn on my calendar. Here are a bunch of tests that I was doing on Monday. So when I click on this little test that said computer class, there's my recording. It's this red icon that's connected here, okay? Either way, when I find the recording, I'm going to copy the link and then put it in Google Classroom or onto my lesson, what are they calling that? The lesson guide, or into Seesaw or wherever I want. So as an example, I'm just going to open up this we did Minecraft camps this summer, and I used Google Classroom with my upper division facilitators. So I'm here in my classwork section. I create, and this is going to be a material. This isn't an assignment I'm having kids turn in. I'm just giving it to them as a material. So I'm going to say material, and I'm going to say, you know, class recording from August 14th, 2020, or whatever it was. And then I can add it. I could add it from Google Drive. In this case, I'm going to say link, and I'm going to paste it directly in. You can go choose Google Drive and hunt around for it. I think it's easier to find the link right on your calendar, or you can go into that Meets recording. And look at that. That's why I need a good title, because it's really clear. That was, you know, Computer Class 5-1 from August 3rd, 2020. I like to have topics in my Google Classroom to keep things organized. So I would have a topic here. I had one called moderator meetings, but you could have a topic called class recordings. And then you don't have to share this with everybody. When you click for, you choose what class. And I could choose here only my students that are on remote learning. I'm probably just going to provide it to everybody, because hey, if there's a student that was in class, but they needed to see, they wanted to see it again, that's fine. That's fine with me. All right. I need to put the link here to the tutorial. Okay. I did a lot of talking, but I actually kind of went through all the steps. The good news is I made a video for y'all. That video is 12 minutes long. It goes through the steps. You have that Google document that's step by step by step, and then you've got the video as well. And if you figure out, or any of us figure out a better way to do it, I mean, let us know. This was something we puzzled over this summer and tried to work out what our best choices would be. There's another video, and I'm not going to go through the steps there, but it's how to do this with the iPad. And the iPad can be great, but it only has so much storage, and you're going to have, if you end up recording things with your iPad or with an iPad, you're going to record them and then put them up on Google Drive and delete them here. I think it's easier really to use the Hangout Meet. One benefit is you don't have to be connected to the internet. The iPad, I mean, we can go outside and take a lesson not being on the internet at all, and so you can use your phone, you can use an iPad. And so anyway, I have the same step-by-step instructions for doing that with an iPad as what we talked about with our laptop. Initially, we didn't know we would be getting iPads for faculty, and so the first instructions we did were for our laptops. So I do need to let you know, I learned yesterday some faculty in upper division have had a lot of trouble with the Google Meets on their laptop, and if you have, that is something to make. We've got to get that fixed. There's a faculty member who her laptop has been re-imaged several times, and it just crashes when Google Meet runs. That means there's a problem with her laptop that needs to get fixed. So if you're having that kind of problem, not only send an email to help desk. If it's not getting resolved, then that's something to escalate through your department chair and through Dr. Powell, and just to make sure, because that needs to be a top priority. If your laptop is not letting you teach, we got to get you a new laptop, get your laptop repaired.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Okay, questions?
Thank you, Wes. Thank you.
Wes, this is the old guy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This summer I took some GOA courses.
Okay.
And then I also have links to Latin teacher thing. And one of the things I kept hearing was, for what we're doing today, to use Loom. You ever heard of Loom?
Yes, definitely. And that would be, it's a screencasting tool.
Yeah.
And so like Screencastify, those are great because it allows you to record whatever you want. If you want your own face to be in there, some of those will let you show your mouse as you're clicking on things, or you can circle things and
Right.
highlight. So yes, and I would, I've heard several people talk about Loom, and that is something that I'd like to add some tutorials for right now, because Rob Huber has been doing a session on flipping the classroom and recording videos. I think most of our faculty up to this point have used Screencastify, but Loom is something I think that a lot of people got excited about. So yes, definitely use it. And that would fit in the category of, I have a little more time, because if you're using Loom, you wouldn't be recording that in front of your class.
Right.
You could actually make a shorter video that gets to the points quicker and probably serves the situation of your flex learners even better. The question is, how much time will we have, and what can you do? So what we wanted to provide is, here's a way you can record in class if you want to, but I want to be clear that the best practice in terms of distance learning is to try and make those shorter videos. And so Loom is a great tool. And have you started to play with it yet, or use it at all yet?
I played with it, and there are two things. You can show your full screen, and you're just a little head down in the lower left.
Right.
Or you can just do the face cam only, and do a 5-minute video, and then you just go to the take the link and put it in the email addresses of the kids you want to go to.
Awesome. Yes. And Screencastify is similar in terms of making the steps just even faster. So doing this with the iPad and these other methods, the more we can reduce the steps, the better it is for everybody. Even if we all know varying amounts. You can know a ton, and it just makes a world of difference if you're talking about 5 steps or 15 steps.
Right.
So yeah, if I'm glad to hear that you've played with that, and would encourage you to do that and share it. And it's something that, if we don't have it linked now, I'll put a link to it on our screencasting page.
Okay.
And we'll continue to, I paid myself $25 to have the Screencastify Pro, because you can do recordings up to 5 minutes for free, but then they want you to pay. And I would say that's something we're going to want just to kind of take stock of in terms of a school, because there could be some things that we end up paying money for ourselves. But then there could be things that we need to talk to our department and talk to our division to say, hey, this is fantastic, but this is a tool that I'd like the school to buy for me. And so those are conversations that are obviously going to involve multiple people. The good news is there are a lot of choices, and generally the tools will let you record for free at least under 5 minutes. I mean, that's what Screencastify does.
I kind of think, as I remember, because I have Loom on my the upper bar that I just click on, it's already there. And I think, because I was a teacher, I can do longer than 5 minutes.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it just depends. There's multiple tools, and so that's what's good to know. And these companies are also, trying to get folks to be using them. But then they're also, of course, having to figure out how they're going to make money and not go out of business. So, and good products are worth paying for. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. So I'll make sure Loom is added to our resource page, and then we'll see also if they probably have pretty good tutorials in Screencastify. Like, we haven't recreated really a lot of how-tos because they've got such a nice step-by-step. And so we'll just try to make sure we have the same thing for Loom. So that
Loom, there are probably 20 good YouTubes on it, how to use it.
Yep. Awesome.
Wow.
Okay.
Awesome. Yep. That's great. All right. Any other questions that you all can think of?
Oh, Wes, I have a question. I posted it on chat.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Can you record a Google Meet outside of class and just share the link of the recording? Yes, absolutely. The technique I'm describing as a lesson cast. And by the way, I almost did my dissertation on lecture casting. I don't know if you remember, but back in like 2007, Duke University bought iPods for all their students, and they put these systems in every room where the faculty could just come in and push a button at the start of class, and when they're done, they push the button, and then boom, the recording of the lecture was available for students, and they got it on their iPod. That was the whole thing, and people wondered if that was going to become, something that happened throughout higher ed. I called it a lesson cast because, like, especially in lower division and primary, they don't think of giving a lecture as much, but definitely sharing a lesson. But it's that same idea. So to your question, Ms. Tosser, yes, we are using Google Meet, which is a live video conference tool, but we're not inviting kids in this case to come live. We're just using it because it records quickly, it compresses it quickly. Unlike with an iPad, you got to record it, and then you've got to upload it, and then you have to rename it. And it cuts out some of the steps. So absolutely, when you want to record something, but what Mr. Gorham said, I think, is worth checking out too, because Loom or Screencastify will do some of that same thing in terms of, like, once you record yourself, you can record yourself talking, and then it puts it up on Google Drive and gives you the link. It's really quick.
Oh, nice.
So, but also we're familiar with Google Meet.
Mm-hmm.
There's no time limit, right? So you could do a 45-minute, you could do a however long that you wanted to do. But that's a long answer to say yes, you can do that.
So you will not have any invite, and you will not have any guest, right? When you
Correct.
create a calendar. Yeah.
You would only be inviting them after the fact. So this is a recorded video conference, but we're not going to let people know that it's out there, and if we don't share the link, then, people can't click on it. It's only after the fact that you add them as guests. And this is to say, hey, here's the recording of what I've made. And they'll watch it, they'll watch it in anytime mode. They'll be asynchronous. They're not going to be live real time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll also say that I think we'll have some teachers experimenting with this, and I am over the moon happy that we have comprehensively put new fiber in every single building of our campus. We have new switches in every single building and every rack. And so I'm expecting this to be a little rocky, but it's a fantastic upgrade that I'm so thankful we've done. And what it may mean, and this is what we don't want to set the expectation to tell kids right now, oh yeah, you can be live every time we're in class, because we don't want to promise that yet. But we will have teachers experiment, I expect, with live students attending. I think we have 30% of 7th graders opting for long-term flex. That's a small class, but it's a third of that class. That's the largest group we have in the middle division. You know, we may end up doing some live classes, but we're going to be doing that on more of an experimentation basis. But the process would be the same. So if you end up, we end up figuring out, hey, you know, this is fine. We're able to do this. I think we're going to have to figure out how many people can simultaneously do it, right? Because we may not be able to do 50, I don't know that we would have them from the same building, but like in the upper division, there may be some limit. Process would be the same, except you just invite them before class. This technique is you invite them to the calendar event after the class.
Mm-hmm.
They watch the recording.
Thank you, Wes. That was great.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. Let me know if you have questions. I'll email you a link to the slideshow we did and the document, and we'll continue to try to figure this out and some of the best ways we can do this. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Tosser.
This is maybe out of topic, but it's about my Cassidy. I used to use Google Classroom for the students to turn in their work, but
Right.
can they turn it in also using my Cassidy?
They can. My Cassidy, the app that they have, is not as flexible as what the Google Classroom is, but they absolutely can. And Jeremy has installed an integration with Google Drive that will facilitate that. And I know that Stephanie Krosno has been, I think during remote learning, she just used Google My Cassidy. I was doing that for the 3rd trimester, but because every other middle division class was doing Google Classroom, and I surveyed my students, I said, what do you guys want? They said, we want Google Classroom. But you can do a lot of the same things. One of the most important things, though, that you can't do with My Cassidy is, let's say I've made a slideshow and I want students to build on it. So I've made slides and I said, on slide 1, I want you to, take a pic, put in a picture of this and write this. With Google Classroom, you can make that, and every student can quickly get their own copy and turn it back into you. It takes a few more steps to do that in My Cassidy, but you absolutely can have students turn things in. I was having my 5th and 6th graders turn in, PDFs. They were typing and doing little time tests, and they were submitting it right within My Cassidy. The thing is, they had never done it before because other teachers hadn't asked them. And so that's something to think about as far as our students and what they're most comfortable and familiar with. But they should all be able to log in, and the process, especially on a laptop, is pretty similar. So yes, you can, but I personally am going to, because in the middle division everybody's using Google Classroom, I have to. But it also gives me, I think, a few more choices. They've done more updates to Google Classroom than Blackbaud has for their system. But just, it all depends on what you want them to do. And turning in files, turning in slideshows, they can do that right within My Cassidy without having Google Classroom.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you. I think it's very clear. And now I think we need to play with this to see
Yes,
how
you
it
do.
works.
That's right. Go watch the
This
video
is-
and play, and then let me know. Okay.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
Do I
All
need
right.
to close the
Hangout.
Googles, the group,
You can close the Hangout meet, and I'll stop the conference.
and the
too.
Google Cloud? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Wes.